Hey everybody, Chrissy here for Kindred Stamps, and today we are going to focus on coloring with pencils on Kraft cardstock. So I am using the Never Grow Up set. There's a bunch of adorable images with little sentiments on here. So I decided that I was going to stamp everything in black ink. So I am just using a stamping tool to kind of align everything so I can do it all at once. Now you can use a regular acrylic black if you don't have a stamping tool. This is not required whatsoever. I'm just going to go ahead and I'm going to stamp that in black ink. So now you can do no line coloring if you want by using a lighter ink color that won't show up as well on the Kraft. That is up to you. But for this particular video, I decided to make sure that the ink, I wanted that black ink to really kind of pop out. So now I'm using some watermark ink just to add in some of the little stars, the little twinkles, little pixie dust. So when you color on Kraft, the only thing you have to keep in mind is lots of times you need to press a little bit harder. And something else is that if you feel like your colors aren't popping enough, you can always color everything with white underneath first, then add your color on top. Now, I kind of felt like mine was fine. I'm just using their Spectrum Noir colored pencils. I know Prismacolors work as well. So I'm just pressing harder than I normally would. Lots of times when I use colored pencils, I start out really light and then I just kind of add color as I go. So, because in most cases, you can always add more color, but you can't take it away. But when you're coloring on Kraft, you have to remember you have to apply a lot more pressure to make it show up because we have that dark background. And the other thing is too, is that some of your colors might show up a little bit differently than they would on white cardstock. So things look a little bit duller. So you can still blend. I still blended in the little pixie's hair. You can see that I still had, I took brown around the edges with the yellow. So I'm a little bit more dramatic with my coloring. So for on white cardstock with her dress, I might use like this color blue with another shade that's a hair darker. But because it's on Kraft, some of the low lights that I'm doing, some of the shadows, I would actually use more of like a navy color and blend that in instead. Same with her hair. For white cardstock, I would just do two colors that are close together. But for this, I'm using this brown, and then I'm going to come in with a really, really, really dark brown that I normally wouldn't do. But it's so it pops, so it shows up a little bit more because that Kraft does kind of hide some of those details. And for this card, I did the same thing as the other where I added a few little stars and stuff in there using the watercolor ink. It just adds an extra little pop to the card. So I assembled my cards and then I decided I wanted to add a little bit of sparkle. It just kind of seemed appropriate for these cards. And I kind of felt like it did also help the colors to pop out a little bit more because, again, being on the Kraft, stuff is a little more subdued. It's a little more subtle. So anything you can do to make your stuff kind of pop out, go for it. And like I said, white really does show up well. You can see that in her top that she's got on under her dress. So you can always do white as a base first if you prefer, and then add your colors on top if you really, really want stuff to show up. So then to finish everything off, I just added in a couple sequins. I just have some little mini adhesives here, and that's how I've been putting my sequins on because it's nice and fast. So you can see how quickly I did both of these cards. Very simple, but they still have a lot of like oomph to them because it is on that Kraft cardstock. So you can see both of them there. Thanks so much for stopping by today. I can't wait to see what you create on your Kraft cardstock. See you out in Blogland. Have a great day.